Hello and welcome to CTV News Across Canada for Friday, October 10th. We've got the top local stories from coast to coast, stories that affect you and the country. Thanks for joining us.
Police say the firearm was not used at or inside the school. The lockdown was lifted before the end of the school day. Now, one of the students who was taken into custody has since been released, but police have been tight-lipped about why they were arrested, as no charges have been announced yet. The incident has left some students shaken.
Me and my friends, we were hiding under the table, and we kind of started we weren't crying, but we were really scared because we heard somebody scream from across the school, or I did, and then I was freaking out, and my friend was freaking out because we realized it was more serious, and because people were already getting arrested outside, and we just didn't know what was going on, didn't really want anything to happen.
Students we spoke with today said an incident like this has never happened before, and as rumors swirled about what might have happened, students texted and called their parents during the lockdown.
My oldest daughter, she called using a friend's phone saying that there was a stabbing or something. But then the friend was also saying there was a gun involved. Well, I was freaking out, and then I told my wife to call the school, but of course the phone lines are not being answered.
Ottawa paramedics confirmed no stabbing took place, but paramedics did respond to a separate medical emergency that happened at the same time, which was unrelated. The school's principal sent an email to parents informing them of the situation. And for anyone who wanted to leave school early, parents were able to sign their kids out of class and head home. Now, out of an abundance of caution, police also locked down a nearby school. The investigation remains ongoing, and anyone with information is asked to call Ottawa Police or Crime Stoppers.
People were lining up in advance of the noon reopening of the evacuation zone on Aylesford Road.
It's been, a little disheartening because we not knowing what was going on. A little scary that way, right? All our stuff's here. You only get to leave with this little car full of stuff. So.
The road isn't open yet to the public, just those who were told to evacuate.
Welcome home.
Okay, officials were checking identification before letting people through.
Maybe some kind of bill or something that would prove where they're living, and so we can check off as well to make sure people are actually getting back, and so we can check them off the list.
Nova Scotia's Department of Natural Resources says the Lake George fire is being held and that crews are still working to get it under control, but the risk to homes is low.
Fire crews did an amazing job because I did not expect to be back anytime soon.
So we do have a camera on the house, so we were watching them spray down our house, but it was very stressful not being there and not knowing the conditions or how close it was to the house.
Firefighters from Nova Scotia and BC are still in the woods fighting this fire. 4 planes from the Northwest Territories and 5 helicopters are helping from the air.
They were great. I can't thank them enough for keeping all of our households safe and getting us back home as soon as possible.
The Lake George wildfire is currently estimated at 288 hectares. 350 civic addresses were within the evacuation zone. And Bruce, residents were given this booklet when they were allowed back in through the checkpoint. It provides information on everything from checking the home or the cottage to managing the stress of the evacuations that came to an end today.
Surjit Singh Bains will be spending his 63rd birthday in jail tonight after being denied bail, accused of attempted murder in the alleged kidnapping and torture of a Mississauga man who may have owed Bains $650,000. Bains was arrested late last month, accused with 4 other men of kidnapping the man, who was found bound with zip ties, violently beaten in an abandoned building at the corner of Peter and Colborne Streets in downtown Orillia. The Crown filed exhibits including 2 surveillance videos showing several men pursuing and kidnapping a man in a parking garage in Mississauga 2 days earlier. The court heard the man told police he believed he was going to be killed by his captors, saying he was bound against his will and assaulted over 2 days using weapons that included knives and metal pipes. The man said alcohol was poured down his throat to make him docile. Losing track of time, he told police he believed he'd been kidnapped for 5 days. It's alleged the man was held for ransom, telling police he owed his captors a total of about $1.2 million. Bains' lawyer Tom Pittman dismissed any notion his client was the mastermind of the kidnapping and beating. The Crown said Bains was found with what appeared to be blood on his shoe after police were called to the scene to investigate suspicious activity in the area that included a U-Haul van outside an abandoned building. All 5 accused were found inside with the victim. Despite his loved ones pledging $50,000, Justice of the Peace Jennifer Martin ruled the sureties did not meet the onus of proving their release plan was sufficient. The court heard Baines runs a small business with his 4 sons and may have known the victim for about 10 years. Baines' co-accused Manraj Man, Dwayne Pennant, Baltay Sandhu, and Gurji Anthony Gorburn are seeking special bail hearings to secure release from jail. Baines' lawyer not pleased with his client's detention.
Very disappointed. An appropriate plan of release, and Justice of the Peace missed the mark on this one.
Baines will remain in custody and is scheduled to make his next appearance from jail in Penetanguishene in a week's time. The allegations against the accused have not been tested in court. Mike Arsley, CTV News, Barrie.
Neighbors on this Richmond Hill street say the unprovoked attack has people feeling anxious and scared. This man didn't want to appear on camera, but he says he's considering adding stronger locks on his doors and more security cameras outside his home.
It could be anyone. Actually, my wife was planning to go for a walk at about that exactly same time.
York Regional Police were called to this home on Lorraine Street in Richmond Hill just before 5 p.m. on Wednesday evening. A 54-year-old man was assaulted outside of his home in what investigators describe as an unprovoked attack. The victim, identified as Amir Shafi, was transported to hospital with life-threatening injuries. He did not survive. CTV News has obtained this security video. It shows the accused, identified as 23-year-old Raymond Kim, walking towards the house just minutes before the attack. He's wearing a hoodie and walks slowly down the sidewalk. There is no weapon visible in this camera angle. York Regional Police say he has been charged with second-degree murder and breach of probation. This neighbor saw the accused walking down the street seconds before it happened.
Horrible, because because I'm concerned so much. I walk at night, sometimes like 8, 9. So I do a lot of exercise. So we're horrified.
Police are currently not looking for any additional suspects. There is no additional risk to the public at this time.
The motive is unknown. We did speak briefly with the brother of the victim this morning, who told us he had no idea why this happened, but the family wants justice. The investigation is ongoing. Anyone with information or security video is asked to contact York Regional Police. John Musselman, CTV News.
Crown Prosecutor Thomas Mack didn't hold back as he made his final submissions at the Waterloo Region Courthouse today. It comes just a couple of days after Dylan Moreira took the stand in his own murder trial. He's accused of second-degree murder and multiple counts of attempted murder and aggravated assault in connection to a triple stabbing in Kitchener in 2022, where Moreira's girlfriend was killed and his girlfriend's daughter and own mother were seriously injured. Moreira has pleaded not guilty to all charges. Mack called Moreira's evidence unreliable and wholly incredible, going on to say his testimony was evasive, self-serving, and frankly disingenuous. Mack referenced Moreira's drug use, his previous criminal record, and changing answers throughout his testimony as fatal to his general credibility. The Crown suggests Moreira's claim that his girlfriend stabbed him first is entirely unsupported. Mack said if Moreira actually made the decision to take the knife from his girlfriend and stab her to protect himself, it's implausible that he would then go and stab his mother and his girlfriend's 7-year-old daughter. As for the stabbing of Moreira's girlfriend, there is no defensive justification for inflicting 21 stab wounds on an unarmed female. The Crown's position is that Moreira had an intention to kill and understood the consequences of his actions that night, so they are asking Justice Gibson to find Moreira guilty on every count. The defense, meanwhile, leaned heavily into Moreira's testimony that his girlfriend stabbed him first. Defense lawyer Stephen Gale told court, "I do assert self-defense," and said there was a physical struggle between Moreira and his girlfriend. Gale also said there were instances that could lead to provocation, like Moreira's dog being stabbed. The dog means more to him than people. The defense also spent time poking holes in the testimony provided by the daughter of Moreira's girlfriend. Gale made it clear he does not believe she was lying, but suggested certain statements don't align with other witness testimony or her own previous testimony. She has no idea where her mom was stabbed, Gale told court. He went on to tell Justice Gibson you should have a reasonable doubt as to whether there was an actual intent to kill. A date for Justice Gibson to deliver his findings still needs to be decided. Spencer Turcott, CTV News, Kitchener.
It's a place of peace and quiet reflection, but that peace was shattered by the buzz of a chainsaw when someone laid to waste healthy trees and shrubs growing amongst the gravestones at Woodland Cemetery.
First I've heard about this. That's terrible. It's terrible. I can't believe it. I mean, some stupid things happen here, which should never happen.
It's believed to have happened overnight Friday. Staff made the first discovery Saturday morning when they came upon this felled tree, which had all the signs of being cut with a chainsaw. Then Wednesday, the remains of this memorial tree were discovered when a partially cut trunk nearly fell on a man sitting under it. Woodland GM Kerry Blackwell says it's upsetting.
I just don't understand the thought process of this individual and why they would do something like this. This is such a peaceful place. People come here to remember their loved ones. So it's very concerning.
She says the cemetery has also had a number of thefts over the past year, including flowers and vases and other mementos.
Just disturbs me. Just disturbs me that someone would come in and do anything to a cemetery. It's a respectful place.
The sprawling property is bordered by a chain-link fence, and the main gates are closed at night by security. But staff are well aware that if somebody wants to get in here after hours, well, this place is not impenetrable. They have filed a report with police. In the meantime, they're hoping regular visitors will help them keep an eye out.
Maybe we'll call them the Woodland Watchers or something like that. But if anyone is interested in helping out, they can certainly contact us.
Brian Bicknell, CTV News.
It's known as Bill 1. The Quebec Constitution sets out to highlight the province's distinctions within Canada.
We are in the Canadian Federation, so the supreme law is the Canadian Constitution.
That still holds true, but any future laws will also have to follow the provincial constitution, which defines Quebec's values. They include secularism, Quebec's model of integration, and protection of the French language, all topics the CAQ campaigned on and passed controversial laws like Bills 21 and 96.
That's a tool inside the Canadian Federation to be sure to protect the autonomy of Quebec.
The English Montreal School Board is currently challenging the CAQ's language law. But going forward, the new law would stop public institutions from using taxpayer money on court battles. Lawyer Frédéric Bérard says that is a major flaw.
We want to have a full possibility to challenge in court the constitutionality of laws. This is how it works. I mean, you cannot suspend that.
If you want to contest bills of the National Assembly and you are in a public organization, take your own money.
The Constitution also enshrines the right to abortion, respect for English-speaking communities, and a break from monarchical traditions like MNAs having to swear an oath to the Crown. While the opposition supports the idea of a constitution, it says the CAQ is working backwards, introducing the bill first and consulting on it second.
The problem is that there was no opportunity for the society to discuss this at large.
It should be done by the people, for the people, not only by Simon-Jolin Barrette in his office.
It's a useless exercise by the CAQ government.
The Justice Minister refused to answer if the Constitution could be passed by a simple majority or if more support would be needed in the House. The CAQ rebuffing the idea the Constitution is a way to rally support, even if it is less than a year before the election.
Vive le Québec.
Kelly Gregg, CTV News, Quebec City.
Turtle Pond Wildlife Center founder Gloria Morissette feeds a saw-whet owl with a wing injury. It's healing, but the center can no longer take in animals that require veterinary services, like examinations, x-rays, or pain management.
Our wonderful vet that I've worked with for 10 years is, I finally worn her out, and she'd like to take a step back and just reduce the species of animals that she deals with.
Morissette says it leaves a void, providing services for animals and birds, but the vet will continue treating reptiles.
Because we don't have the ability to treat trauma cases, especially severely hurt or animals that require a humane euthanasia, we can't provide those services right now.
Katrina Vandelite is an animal caregiver and has seen many animals recover and grow from being orphans. She says it's rewarding.
The best part is to, see them come in and you get to see them progress, and then you release them back out into the wild, and yeah, it's what I'm here for.
Morissette says she is hopeful in time the center can return to caring for all wild animals that need care.
What I would really like to see happen is multiple vets get involved, where it's not going to be such a burden on one individual. Vets are strapped here in Sudbury as well as across the province.
Right now, the center has 140 orphaned, injured, and sick animals under care and maintenance. Alana Everson, CTV News, Valcarin.
One of the world's largest carbon capture facilities is being planned for southwestern Manitoba.
I really think we have a unique opportunity in the next couple of years here to really put Canada on the map for global carbon removal.
Montreal-based Deep Sky says shovels will hit the ground in early 2026 for the $200 million first phase of the project, which they say will eventually remove 500,000 tons of CO2 from the atmosphere every year. The company says this will create 1,000 construction jobs, and hundreds more people will be needed to work at the facility.
We will need a lot of maintenance folks. We will need a lot of operators for the well. We are going to need a lot of operators for the capture facility. And I think Manitoba is really interesting because it actually has a very suitable labor force.
They've narrowed down their choice to 2 sites in the RMs of Pipestone and 2 Borders.
It's unbelievable the amount of jobs it's going to create and the economy, what it'll do for the economy.
Deep Sky also has a partnership with the Dakota Grand Tribal Council.
A percentage will go to Deep Sky and a percentage will go to our nations for economic development.
The Premier says the province made changes to legislation so the project would be eligible for federal tax credits.
When we can find an opportunity for people to bring federal investment to Manitoba at the same time that business, a new startup like this, an exciting industry, is bringing money to Manitoba, it seems like a real win for the economy.
Deep Sky says Manitoba was chosen because of the geological makeup of the region and the hydro needed to power the project. Some environmental groups are skeptical of carbon capture, arguing there are better uses for the energy, like electrifying transit.
We would say that it's an unproven, costly, and incredibly energy-intensive approach to emissions reduction.
The Manitoba facility will both capture and store carbon, which Deep Sky says saves on transportation costs.
The family of Yanko Kolasnai leave provincial court Thursday without their husband and father, moments after the 72-year-old priest was sentenced to 8 months in jail. Justice Lua Gibbs says the high level of trust as a spiritual figure and the vulnerability of the 13-year-old victim went into her decision after Kolasnai kissed the girl on her lips without consent in a supply room at the Ukrainian Catholic Cathedral of St. George back in 2023.
The judge gave careful consideration to all the factors and today accepted that was the appropriate sentence.
The girl was a recently landed refugee from Ukraine who would clean the church weekly with her mother when the assault happened. And the Crown says the family is happy to put the matter behind them.
I wished them a better experience in Canada, and I hope that the rest of the Canadians have treated them well.
Kolasnai will serve 18 months probation following his jail time. Before the decision was read, the court heard a statement from the girl saying, after everything that had happened, it felt as if the whole world became hostile and dangerous. The judge ultimately rejected the defenses of the kiss being a traditional greeting in Kolasnai's culture, as well as rejecting the constitutional challenge of serving less than the minimum 6-month sentence.
Obviously not the outcome we were looking for.
Kolasnai will not be allowed to return to work because of this sentence. He will not receive any more financial support from the church, which includes his pension. Keenan Sorakan, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Take this as a good sign that we're having conversations. We know what teachers are looking for, what they are asking in terms of trying to fix the situations that we see in school.
ATA President Jason Schilling says exploratory discussions that started last Friday helped to develop further negotiations. The two sides will sit down again to hash out a deal to get Alberta teachers and students back in the classroom. Schilling says if teachers are eventually forced back to work, it would be under a work-to-rule strike mandate.
What it would mean if we were doing something like that is teachers wouldn't do the work above and beyond what is their normal work to do. So, of course, instruction, marking, supervision, that stuff would be done. But extracurricular activities, clubs, that work would not happen.
The Alberta government says it's hoping the ATA's proposal is reasonable, fair, and adequately represents the terms teachers want to see reflected in their deal. Now, teachers are not walking a picket line. Instead, they are rallying. And tomorrow morning, there is going to be an All Out for Education rally that will be taking place near the Walter Dale Bridge.
On November 1st, 2023, shortly before 7 a.m., Estevan police responded to a report of an injured person at a home in the city, leading to the arrest of the 19-year-old. The woman injured in the incident, 46-year-old Carly Galeas, was the mother of the man taken into custody. She died of her injuries a short time later. Once at the police station, the 19-year-old was changing his clothes in an observation room when he lunged at a police officer, later identified as Sergeant Braden Lonsberry, gaining control of the officer's gun. He shouted, "He has my gun," to alert other officers in the building before the suspect shot Lonsberry in the abdomen. A struggle ensued, leading to a second shot being fired into the back wall. As the suspect began to lower his weapon, a second officer drew his weapon, shooting the 19-year-old twice in the torso. The second officer began to handcuff the man when the suspect reportedly stated, "Just finish me," or words to that effect, according to the report. The officer then called for an ambulance. Both were given immediate first aid and rushed to the hospital. The suspect later died. The injured officer made a full recovery. According to the CERT investigation, the suspect was found to have methamphetamine and cocaine in his system. No video footage captured the incident directly, but footage from other cameras was enough for investigators to piece together a timeline. 11 police officers were also interviewed as direct witnesses, along with 2 civilians, including a detainee that was in the detention area at the time of the shooting. According to CERT, all evidence considered showed a situation where the officer who fired the fatal shots had an undeniably reasonable fear of death or grievous bodily harm for himself and the officer who had already been shot.
All the other agencies throughout the province participated and came down and then lent a hand in some form or fashion. And it was a very collaborative effort, but I can tell you that the members and the staff and the employees of the Estevan Police Service were affected greatly by this.
CERT's civilian executive director concluded the report by saying the team found no grounds to believe an offense was committed by the officer who fired the fatal shots, meaning no charges will be laid and the case is now closed. Mick Favel, CTV News, Regina.